Welcome back to my channel. I'm James. Today we're going to be doing another unique video. This is top favorite 80s movies on 4K Ultra HD. These are all must-own 4Ks that every single person needs to have in their collection. These are movies that are stunning 4K releases of some of the best 80s movies ever released on film. These are ones that you must have in your collection. If you don't own any of these, you're going to want to buy each and every one of these titles to have in your collection, because all of these films are wonderful 80s movies that you need to experience and watch on these 4K Ultra HD releases. Now, some of the qualifications to make it into this video was they had to be films that I've watched over 4 times. To be some of my favorite 80s films, because there's so many that I love, they had to be films I'd seen over 4 times and loved every single time, and that love of that film didn't decrease the more I watched it. Other qualifications were they had to be amazing and stunning picture and sound quality that were very enjoyable and great upgrades over the previous Blu Ray releases. They couldn't be middling or hey, they were okay. They had to be very stunning upgrades over any of the previous Blu Ray releases before to qualify for this video. And let me tell you, it was hard to come up with this list of films, but I took a lot of time and work going through testing and analyzing every single one of these to make sure I give you the best top list of 80s films that you need to add to your collection. And let me tell you, you don't want to miss out on a single one of these films. Now, every single one of these 4Ks that I'm going to talk about and cover in this video, I've done all of the work for all of you, included the direct links from Amazon in the description section and as a pinned comment in the comment section right below. If you don't own any of these, or you're wanting to buy or add any of these to your collection, make sure to use those links I've posted in the description section and as a pinned comment in the comment section right below. Starting off with an amazing 80s film from 1984 and 1986 is Karate Kid 1 and 2. I did review this originally here on this YouTube channel. It is an amazing 4K Ultra HD release. I love these films. They're very heartwarming. A lot of people reference them too as martial arts, Rocky films, but for kids. And I guess that's not a bad reference. I love the Rocky films as well, but these hold a special place in my heart because I grew up watching them over and over again. I mean, how many of us imagined ourselves doing the whole Karate Kid one leg thing where he's standing there with his other leg up and his whole pose and everything like that? I mean, come on. If you were a kid that grew up in the 80s, you did that, you loved it. Heck, I even had a bandana that I took a white bandana and painted the symbol on it just so that I could wear it around and play that I was the Karate Kid. And that's when you know a film is great, is when it gives you that feeling no matter how old you get. I love watching these films over and over again. You cannot go wrong with The Karate Kid. These are must-own, must-buy 4K Ultra HD releases. You gotta have these in your collection no matter the cost. These are ones that are some of the best 80s films out there. You gotta experience them over and over again, and this is the best way to watch them. If you wanna know my full analysis and thoughts on each and every one of the films in this series, I did an exclusive 4K versus Blu Ray image comparison review video. You can check that out after you get done watching this video. It's available right now here on this YouTube channel. Can't talk 80s without talking Tom Cruise, Top Gun. This is one of those absolutely wonderful films from the 80s. I love this 4K Ultra HD release. Tom Cruise is one of those actors I talked about a lot over the years I've been doing this. I think he has such a great charisma and presence in every film he creates. And I've loved him from the beginning of his career all the way through now. And I hope to see many, many more years. But this film is one of those that is an absolutely wonderful 80s film. On 4K Ultra HD, this is the best way to ever experience this film. It's a must buy on 4K. Another personal favorite of mine that is a wonderful John Carpenter film with Kurt Russell is Escape from New York. This one came out in 1981, and I think the soundtrack couldn't be any more perfect. I actually still have the soundtrack, and I listen to it over and over. As I've talked a lot about John Carpenter's career, I love how he does a lot of his own music and obviously the directing. He does a great job with the music, and it has such a great synthwave and 80s feel behind it. Love it. This film is one of those that is a great masterpiece of 80s filmmaking that I absolutely love. If you have not checked out my exclusive 4K versus 4K image comparison, that's an exclusive video I did here on my YouTube channel comparing this 4K Ultra HD release to the previous Studio Canal 4K Ultra HD release. In that video, I let you know which one comes out the winner. And let me tell you, there are some surprising results I shared in that video. but I love this film. This is one of those you've got to buy and add to your collection. You will be amazed at how enjoyable this film is if you have not checked it out. Now, it is rated R, it does have strong language and violence, but to me, none of it is too over the top. It is done tastefully, and it's done very well, and I love Snake Plissken. His character, man, is so cool and is the essence of 80s cool, which is why I say a lot of the times there is not many characters made nowadays in modern films that ever have cool guy presence like a lot of these films from the 80s. Kurt Russell with his eye patch is still one of the coolest anti-hero, I guess you could call it, characters of all time. Can't talk 80s without the 1981 Raiders of the Lost Ark, one of my favorite Indiana Jones films. Steven Spielberg was just at the top of his game when he created this film and knew exactly what he was doing. The look, the feel of it, every second of this film is pure escapism. I love the Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos on this. Dolby Atmos actually had some nice effects on this. Made this really remind me of going to see it back in theaters and gave me that feeling of back when I saw it originally. And that's what I'm looking for. I will say that there were some scenes in this that really just looked amazing on 4K that I'd forgotten what they actually looked like because some of the previous home video releases just had been pretty poor and didn't look amazing. Loved these on 4K. And I can't really tell you too much about the story you don't already know, because I think just about everybody's seen Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. It is that good of a film. But this is one of those 4K Ultra HD releases that I absolutely love that you gotta add to your collection. Now, I have the collection with all of the films that have been released so far. I love all of them, so I would suggest buying the whole collection. To let you know a little hidden tidbit though, I love them so much I bought them twice. I bought them in these limited edition steelbooks, and I bought them in the original collection, which came in a box set. I love them so much that I wanted to have them twice in case I scratched a disc, and that's just me as a collector. But this is one of those, don't miss out on any of these films, even though some of the later ones have varying degrees. Temple of Doom is my least favorite, though it's grown on me slightly over the years, but it is my least favorite. And I know some people say, well, they hated the Crystal Skull. I actually like the Crystal Skull for some various reasons that other people might not have liked it. And there's different things that each of us find in the films, and that is always perfectly fine. I've said this over the years, and I'm going to say it again. Just because my list might not be the exact same as yours, that is always okay. Because each of us have feelings and emotions behind every film we watch that gives us a reason why we love certain films or dislike others. It could be you like a film because you went to see it with a family member that maybe passed away and it's a memory you have with them. Mine, a lot of the times, have to do with my dad going to a film with me, or a certain family member I watched it with, or the time period in my life. We each have things we tie to movies beautifully, and that's okay. That's what makes our enjoyment of films so different no matter who we are. And just because we each have varying opinions or things we like in films does not mean someone else's opinion is wrong. And I point this out numerous times over the years because I see a lot of the times people attacking other people because they like a film that somebody else says is stupid, or somebody likes a film that somebody else thinks was not as well written. That's okay. You shouldn't attack somebody else, and we should be okay with if somebody else has a different opinion about a film, because we each have different feelings, emotions, and things we love about films. And that is always okay here on my YouTube channel. If you love films, you love movies, you love TV series, this channel is always the place for all of you. I don't care what films you like and what films you don't. You'll never be given a hard time because you like one film and maybe it wasn't as popular as something else. And I'm always okay with every single one of the films every single one of you likes. So if you enjoy films, make sure to go down there. Give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. And join this great community of all things movies and TV series that is really a great community for all collectors worldwide. Can't talk 80s without talking Back to the Future 1 and 2. Both of the films came out in the 80s, 1985 and 1989 respectively. Both of the films are wonderful. I love them for varying degrees. I think Marty McFly is the essence of what I felt like just awkward and out of place at the first film. You feel like sometimes you're not sure where you fit in the world. And that's where I feel like Back to the Future did a good job of showing us he's going through time and finding out that the things he thought and the things he felt maybe weren't what his parents really were. And time has affected them. Choices they made affected them. And I think it does a good job of showing sometimes the choices we make, how it can affect us later on in life. And they always made me really think, what if it was me that could travel throughout time? These films are must-buy, must-own 4K Ultra HD releases. If you don't own these yet, you gotta add these to your collection. Let me know what of these films you don't own yet. What of these films in this video you have not added to your collection yet? Start that conversation in the comment section below. Let me know what of these you're excited to watch for the first time if you've never seen them, and what of these you're excited to add to your collection. Make sure to start that conversation down there below. I always love to hear from all of you. Next up is more of an off-the-wall fantasy 1986 film, Labyrinth. This film with Jennifer Connelly is more of a, I'd say it's a more obscure 80s film. Yes, people know about it, but when I talk to people, have they actually seen it? A lot of people are like, well, I know the film and I know it had David Bowie in it, but I've never seen the film. And everybody always references that they know Jim Henson did the puppet works in it, which are really great in it. But they always say that they can't really remember ever watching the film, or maybe they watched a few minutes on TV. This is one of those great 80s classic films that you need to have in your collection. This is the edition you need to get though. I've bought each and every edition that's come out. This 35th anniversary edition that they came out with, which has this like actual book, which has like a almost leather, fake faux leather feeling to it. I absolutely love this edition. It's one of my favorites in my collection for one of those just such unique looks. I mean, look at it. They even printed with like a gold writing on it that says The Labyrinth in gold. Looks like a book on it, and then like I said, it's just a very nice looking collection that I've always really enjoyed of a classic 80s fantasy. This does have Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision in it. Dolby Atmos is very enjoyable in this. Though I will say with this one, they did an update to the transfer. This does have the Dolby Vision transfer on it and is the best way to experience this film ever. The Dolby Vision looks almost a full 10% better looking than the HDR10 transfer. This is the way you need to buy it. This is the one you need to watch. This is a must-own 4K Ultra HD release. Like I said, let me know if you've seen this film though, because there's a lot of people that always reference it, but they say that they don't actually ever remember watching the film. Let me know if you like 80s fantasy. To me, there is nothing that beats 80s fantasy films. They were so over the top that just can't be replicated today without being cheesy. And in the 80s, it just felt right. This is one of those that I just really enjoy. Next up, we have one of my favorite sci-fi films that I actually agree with Quentin Tarantino on. This is one of his favorite sci-fi films of all time. This is from 1984. It's called Trancers. It's a time travel sci-fi mixed with slight end of the world trying to change the outcome of things film. It's done very well. Helen Hunt, in one of her earliest roles ever, is really good in this. I think the character's name, Jack Death, just fits such cool 80s sound to it. The beginning of it really has a cool set pieces where they set it up in the diner and he drives up in the futuristic car and the laser weapons. I really like this film. It is very, very underrated though. A lot of people have never seen it. They've never experienced it. If you like 80s sci-fi at all, you must experience this film and add this to your collection. This 4K Ultra HD release where they did a 4K restoration on it looks really nice. And I will tell you, there's a cool scene in this that to this day still holds up very well of him stopping time with his watch. And you'll know what I mean if you've seen the film, or if you're going to experience it the first time, you'll see what I'm talking about. I thought that was such a cool element showing how long he could stop time and move through time, and really was a cool effect that they used and worked well in this film and added to why this is such a cool cult classic sci-fi film from the 80s. Can't talk 80s without talking The Last Emperor on 4K Ultra HD. I did an exclusive 4K versus Blu-ray image comparison review on this exact set from Arrow Video. This is a limited edition release. It was restored by Turbine and Arrow Video. I can tell you this is the best way to ever experience this film. It is stunning looking and sounding. It is really one of those films that is epic in scope. You will sit down, it is a long movie, but it builds, and by the end you sit there and say, wow, was that a wonderful piece of filmmaking? And like I explained in that review, it's never looked as good as it does on this. They actually expanded the frame correctly the way it was intended to be seen for the first time ever on this 4K Ultra HD release. So you actually get to see things that you never got to see on any of the previous home video releases. Lends to why this is one of those must-own 4K Ultra HD releases that you need to have in your collection. As most of you know that have watched my channel for a while, I love baseball films. This is a wonderful film with Robert Redford in it, directed by Barry Levinson. And it's a throwback to the love of the sport itself. It really is done in such a beautiful manner. This 4K Ultra HD release that they released is absolutely wonderful. Though I will reference for a lot of you, there's numerous scenes that Barry Levinson on purpose used filters and films to give it a very just dreamy glow to the scene. It's not something wrong when you're watching it. That's intentionally how he filmed it. It's to give it the love of baseball, like we're dreaming back and remembering when we used to watch great players play. And this is called The Natural. If you have not checked out this 4K Ultra HD release, this is one that's a must-buy from 1984 that really will show you the love of sports and baseball itself. And I love watching this film over and over again because it reminds me why I love baseball as the old American pastime. This is one you don't want to miss out on. Another great classic from my childhood is Cloak and Dagger from 1984. It's one of those espionage, spy, kids thrillers. And I'll say that no matter how old I get, I still enjoy this film. It's done tastefully for adults as well. So even my parents, when they took me to see it when I was growing up, they enjoyed it. And that's why to this day, I still enjoy it. There's elements in this that are done very well for putting kids in danger, technically, which is something that doesn't happen much nowadays. But in films back in the 80s, kids were always in danger. But it was done so that it was exciting to us kids, thinking of something happening and escapism. Cloak and Dagger looks phenomenal in this Vinegar Syndrome release. I loved this boxing and I loved this case, how it came in this big box with Universal's logo, Vinegar Syndrome. All of the artwork in it, the booklet in here, the case is absolutely a stunning release. It looks the best I've ever seen it. It's a must-own 80s film. I'll put the direct link down there below for this collection, so that way you can get this exact collection because this is an amazing box set. Next up we have the sci-fi cult classic, kind of slightly corny, cheesy cult classic, but 1980s Flash Gordon. It intentionally has that slightly corny, cheesy feel to it, intentionally for a sci-fi film. They play off of it. That's the point of the film. So in the 80s, when I saw this, it never felt like one of those films that was trying to be like a super serious Star Wars. It was intentionally trying to be a more its own thing. Obviously, Flash Gordon is what it was going off of, but it was done in a more cheesy fashion on purpose. I love the film. This 4K Ultra HD release is the best way ever to experience it. Arrow Video did a great job with this. The amount of depth and detail you can see in this release is very surprising. And it was one of those films when I sat down and watched it, I was like, wow. It's literally like the first time I've ever seen this film, watching it all over again. That's how gorgeous of a 4K Ultra HD release this is. Can't talk some of the best 80s films of all time without talking Arnold Schwarzenegger. Predator, come on. Predator is amazing for an 80s film. Everything in that film. Now, this is my box set, which I have all 3 films in this box set. I'll link the single film and I'll list the box set down below if you want to buy the box set. I love all the films in the box set. I think Predator is one of those very cool franchises. Obviously, the first one's my favorite. Schwarzenegger was great in it. I wish that they would have done with Schwarzenegger coming back in a later film or done something with him later on. I would have thought that would have been really cool to harken back in the series. But the first one with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it is absolutely great. Every single actor in it is buff and just literally oozes 80s macho charm. Every film Schwarzenegger did, I almost absolutely love, but The Predator is one of those you must own on 4K Ultra HD, and I can tell you, this was released by 20th Century Fox before they were bought out by Disney. So this was one of those releases they worked on themselves, and it's a great 4K release. You'll enjoy watching it. The clarity, the depth, the image on this blows away every single release of Predator on home video ever before. It is a stunning looking for an action film that I absolutely love. This is a must buy. Talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger again here. I talked about this in my top 10 favorite 4Ks of 2022 video. If you haven't checked out that video, this is one of the top 10 4Ks that came out in 2022. Image, sound, absolutely great restoration they did of The Running Man. This is another great Arnold Schwarzenegger sci-fi film. This one really does make you think though. It's kind of more in a dystopian future with twisted things that they do in the future. Makes you think about some of the things that do relate to our time we live in now in some countries around the world. This is one of those films that holds up very well today. Arnold Schwarzenegger is great in it. I love the experience of the game show and the idea of, there's been a lot of shows on TV like Netflix and things, streaming services, about like game shows where they kill off the people in real life. That's what this is playing on, but this was way before any of like those Squid Game, which is one of those shows that people talk about all the time, which is a modern show. This was before that. This is way back in 1987 when they released this film with that same idea of a game show where basically people die in it. It's done very well. It's very enjoyable. He's trying to survive against multiple different odds that are against him. And man, it has some good set pieces, some cool little sci-fi elements that harken even to today's time. And if you haven't checked out this 4K Ultra HD release, it's a native 4K 2160p with Dolby Vision and HDR10. Dolby Vision is the way to go. HDR10 still looks great on this, but I enjoy Dolby Vision just a bit more. This is one of those you gotta buy and add to your collection. Now, any of these you're wanting to buy or add to your collection, as I said, I posted them down as a comment in the comment section right below. I pinned that comment down there with the links to every single one of these. So any of these you don't have yet, all of these are must buy, must own 4Ks you need to have in your collection. I'll post all of those direct links right down there below. Now, you can't talk 80s without talking one of my favorite films that I've referenced hundreds of times here on this YouTube channel, The Goonies from 1985. This is one of those Richard Donner films from the 80s that has such heart and feeling behind it. It's about a group of kids that go on the search for treasure, pirate treasure. And they basically go on this epic adventure, which is very adultish. There's language in it. And surprisingly, as I get older, I realize that it's a very adult film. But they go on this adventure all together. They're each varying characters throughout it. And it actually has one of the characters from the Indiana Jones Temple of Doom that I really enjoyed him as an actor as a kid. But he's recently getting a resurgence, and a lot of people have talked about that recently. But before I digress, they all go on this adventure to find this gold. And they find it. And it's such a great story of just childhood adventure, awe, learning to cope with different losses, because there's losses involved in this. And it's done beautifully well. It's got Steven Spielberg's touch in it, because he was actually one of the executive producers on this. You can feel Steven Spielberg's touch throughout the entire film. I love the feeling behind this, that it just really can't be replicated. The story of them all bonding together towards the end, and they all kind of didn't get along in different areas at the beginning, and growing to accept each other and understand that they're all different, but have various values for their differences. I love the story. And that is what I talk about on this YouTube channel. All of us having varying things we love in films, it's always okay. And that's a great thing, because we should all accept the fact that each of us, if we were all the same, life would be pretty darn boring. If we all were the exact same people walking around like robots, liking the exact same things, there'd be nothing exciting to talk about. That's why films are fun, and that's why it's exciting that we all love different things. The Goonies does a great job of showing that even though each of us come from different walks of life, different experiences, we all have different opinions, you can all work together to achieve one common goal. Love this film. If you haven't checked this one or add this one to your collection, this is a must buy. You've got to have in your collection. Since we're on the subject of Steven Spielberg, E.T. the Extraterrestrial from 1982, one of Steven Spielberg's best films of all time. Now, he has recently talked about that he regrets some of the tinkering he did, removing some of the guns out of the characters' hands when they were supposed to have guns in the first place, and that was reality. That's what really would have gone on in that time period. Other than his tinkering, which I did not like and he disagrees with now, Steven Spielberg himself says one of his biggest regrets was tinkering digitally to take the guns out of their hands and put walkie-talkies instead of leaving it the way it originally was. He does not like film revisionism at all. I don't either. If you followed me here on my channel, if you haven't checked out why physical media is so important, I created a video here on this YouTube channel. It highlights dozens upon dozens of films that have been edited, cut down, things removed, things taken out for streaming services because of revisionism, or them taking out things because they don't agree politically with it, whatever their reasoning is. It's not okay. I don't agree with things getting cut out no matter what it is. In that video, you'll want to check that out. I talk about a lot of films and hidden things that people don't know of and aren't aware of that are going on with digital services. Steven Spielberg's talked about with this film, that's his biggest regret, was allowing the studios to push him into doing something that was wrong. And he admits it was wrong. But I love the film. E.T. is a wonderful sci-fi film about a boy discovering a friend as an alien, falling in love with that boyhood wonder of discovering something that nobody else had found, creating a friend, trying to protect that friend the best way he knows how from those he thinks that are trying to harm him. Love the story. I've always had a special place in my heart for this. The ride at Universal I love as well. Every single thing about this is perfect in my opinion, except for what he tinkered with. But maybe one day we'll get him to give the original untinkered versions back the way it was. I know he's been talking about it for a very long time. But this is the best way to watch it and listen to this film, and this looks pretty dang amazing. Can't talk 80s without talking about one of the greatest martial arts actors in film cinema, Jackie Chan himself. This is the Police Story Trilogy. Now, I previously reviewed this in my new and upcoming reviews video series. I dived into it, did all my exclusive testing data, and shared all of that in that video. If you haven't checked out that video, you'll want to go check that out after watching this video. But Jackie Chan really shows why he is one of the greatest martial arts experts in cinema history. He literally got hurt really bad filming each of these films. A lot of the stunts really did end up with him injured and bloody, and I'm amazed that he survived some of them, especially the one falling off of the roof through all those umbrellas and then he actually hits the cement. Wow. I mean, he said he had fractures all over the place, broken bones, broken nose, broken jaw. It really shows what he was willing to do for cinema, and I really think these films are amazing releases. They're classic 80s films, and Police Story 1 and 2 came out in 1985 and 1988. This is a must-buy collection. You need to buy and add to your collection. It is a limited edition release though. So I will let you know these 4K restorations that were done by Eureka Video are outstanding, and this collection will go out of print. If you have not bought this or added this to your collection, I'll post that link directly down there below. This is one of those you don't want to miss out on. Another classic sci-fi film, The Last Starfighter from 1984. I just recently did an exclusive 4K versus Blu Ray image comparison review here on this YouTube channel. I compared this 4K to the previous Arrow Video Blu Ray release that I talk about in that video. I show you the image comparison side by side and let you know the quality of it. I love the film itself. Every time I watch it, it gives me that wonder of playing video games. If you remember growing up in the 80s, as it shows in here, standing in front of the video game consoles where you put the quarters in, I grew up doing that. There wasn't things like home consoles that much. Yeah, there was Atari and Nintendo, but I didn't have those till much later on. So when we go to restaurants or video arcades, and my parents would give me some quarters to go play the arcades, that's the wonder I always had from this. I'd always imagine, what if somebody from another planet said I was a really good video game expert, came and recruited me to go fight an intergalactic war against bad aliens. And I always imagined that. And that's where the wonder and enjoyment came from this film. It was imagining as kids, what if it was us? And that's what's missing with a lot of films nowadays. I love this film for that sense alone. The rest of the film's enjoyable. The acting in it's very enjoyable, music, special effects. Even the special effects hold up pretty darn well for the time period. But I love that idea of every time I put a quarter in, I imagine, what if I got sucked into a video game like Tron? Or what if somebody came and said, oh yeah, we were recruiting you just like for The Last Starfighter. And that's why this film is so wonderful. This is one of those must-own 80s films. Ghostbusters 1 and 2 from 1984 and 1989 are must-own 4Ks. I talked about them in my exclusive 4K versus Blu Ray image comparison review that's available right now on the channel if you want to check out all the analysis on all of the Ghostbusters films. I did an exclusive comparison of all of the films, including the new one, and did it in that video. I love both of these original films. They do have varying quality film-wise, but Ghostbusters 1 is my favorite. But Ghostbusters 1 and 2 still hold up well today, and they are making another new film with all of the original actors in it, which I'm very excited for. But these films, if you haven't checked them out yet, you gotta have these on 4K because these are the best way to experience them. You can't talk about 80s sci-fi without talking about the cult classic David Lynch 1984 Dune. Yes, this film has a storied history behind it, but this 4K Ultra HD release is amazing. I love this film. It is so 80s. Patrick Stewart and so many other actors that appear in it. It's a great version of Dune. Now, I've reviewed this here on my YouTube channel, as you've seen over here. I also reviewed the new Dune on 4K Ultra HD. I enjoy the new Dune. It's a good release. But for some reason, the original Dune still holds a special place in my heart. A lot of these 80s films, just no matter how many times they remake them, they just don't replace the originals to me. This is one of those I really enjoyed, and I'm glad that I have it on 4K. Even though it's not perfect, I do think the newer film that I reviewed has better pacing, better writing, and better acting. But overall, this still has charm for me that I go back and watch this over and over again. Let me know if you've seen this original 1984 Dune. I really enjoy this film, and I talk about it in that video. If you want to know the full analysis and comparison, you'll want to go check out that exclusive review video. But I really enjoyed this release, and I really enjoyed Dune as a series overall. Another John Carpenter horror classic sci-fi film that you must own on 4K is The Thing. I exclusively reviewed it with an image comparison here on this channel if you want to check it out, but man, this film holds up so well with Kurt Russell. It was another reteaming of Kurt Russell with John Carpenter. They've done so many great films together, the both of them. And The Thing from 1982 still has some of the best practical effects that I think look so cool. Like when the guy's opening up and the alien's coming out with all its tentacles and then the mouth coming out. Man, did that creep me out when I saw it originally in cinemas. And today, those practical effects still look so darn cool. And on 4K, I'd actually say the practical effects even look better. Some people might say, oh, they look slightly cheesy, but to me they don't, because the gore and everything else that was on them even looks more real on this 4K Ultra HD release. This is a must-buy sci-fi horror. And the fact that this film takes place up in Antarctica with all of the snow around them, they can't escape, and an alien basically invasion is what it is, and them learning one by one who's actually an alien, who's a human, who's been infected, who hasn't, and it's done so well with amazing pacing. Shows why, as I said before, John Carpenter is a masterclass horror filmmaker. And if you haven't checked out my top 80s horror movies on 4K video, you'll want to check that out. I talk about some of John Carpenter's other amazing 80s horror films. You'll want to go check out that video as well. There's a lot of interesting things I talk about on those that are must-own, must-buy 4K releases. This is another one. Don't miss out on this film. You can't talk amazing 80s movies on 4K without talking RoboCop. Great satire, commentary on our society with sci-fi, just a great cult classic film. I love the original RoboCop. I do like RoboCop 2 and 3. Hope those get 4K releases as well. But I reviewed this exclusively here on this channel with a 4K versus Blu Ray image comparison as well. If you want to check that out, it'll tell you all the data and all the nitty gritty of the details of this 4K release. But RoboCop is one of those that I've always very much enjoyed. I think that Peter Weller is RoboCop. All of the other actors that tried to portray him with different voices and different varying, they just never lived up to Peter Weller. He is RoboCop for me. This is a must-buy 4K release. Let me know what of these you own, what of these you don't own, what of these you're gonna buy and add to your collection now. I'm always interested to hear what of these some of you have seen or what of these you haven't. What of these that you're excited to buy? Start that conversation down there below in the comment section. Any of these that you don't own, I put all of those direct links from Amazon in the description section and in that comment section right below. I pinned them down there. They're all right down there. Don't cost you a penny extra when you click on those links. Make sure if you're gonna buy any of these though, click on those links I posted down there below. If you enjoy all of these videos I spend all this time creating for all of you, make sure to join my Collectors VIP Club. Only costs you a couple of bucks. After what YouTube takes, which is 35%, I about get $1. And that helps to support the creation of these. I can only do it with all of you, my viewers and subscribers' support. I'm not paid or sponsored by anybody else. Every one of these videos takes me a ton of time and work to analyze, compile, and to put together for all of you. Make sure if you enjoy this and you watch this content here on my YouTube channel every week, join my Collectors VIP Club. Support this channel, support the creation of these videos. I appreciate every VIP Club member I currently have, and I just want to say thank you. As always, start that conversation down there. Don't forget to give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. I truly hope all of you have a blessed day, and I always have something early, exclusive, and exciting coming out very soon.